Petey is really excited too. Okay, so for the next section of our event tonight, we're going to show a short film. It is called Brothers, and we have the privilege of having the producer Alex Lampsos. So he's going to do a bit of questions and answers after the film. So I think Doug is getting it ready. If you have tissues around, please have them handy. It is an 8-minute film, and it follows the story of a Muslim Arab boy and his struggles coming out. So I will let everybody enjoy the show, and then we'll come back for questions and answers. How's everybody doing? So for this particular event, May 17th, I wanted to bring people together through arts. Sometimes, obviously, speech in its various forms is important for communication, but the language of arts goes beyond the words, and talking about or looking human connection is what brings us together, right? Doesn't matter what language we speak, doesn't matter what we believe in, human connection is important. So we have Alex Lampsos here. I just wanted to talk a little bit about him. He's an honors graduate of the New York Film Academy. He launched his career at the Toronto International Film Festival. Since he moved to Los Angeles, he has produced over 30 films and music videos, including Netflix Cherry Pop with cast members from RuPaul Drag Race. And Alex hopes to collaborate with artists worldwide in showcasing projects that will inspire a language of love. So help me welcome Alex. Or would you like a chair? How are you feeling?
Whatever works for you. Does this work for you? Yeah, this is good. This is good. I'm not the best at public speaking, but I'll do my best. Just a lighthearted comedy, right? How was that for you guys? I have to start by thanking GALAP and Yax for this opportunity, and thank you, Sarah and Jessica, for these exquisite performances. And thank you for Petey for being so adorable. This honestly, without trying to sound cliche, it's a dream come true for myself and for Mike Musalem, the director, who really would have loved to be here but had commitments in LA. We came about this project a couple of years ago by happenstance. A company in New York commissioned Mike to actually create a short film for a series about brothers. And long story short, that fell through just because of the agenda that the actual company had, but we really believed in the project, and so last year we were given a wonderful opportunity to actually fund it and get it made. And for us at the core, what really aligned us so much as filmmakers is our moral fabric and our belief in what this medium can do. And the intention from the very beginning was to try to be of service to people that are struggling with this particular, negative experience that they may have. It really hits close to home for me, and I know for Mike as well, and for many others. Even though it is about brothers, at the end of the day, we believe it's really an opportunity to inspire anybody to reconnect with a loved one, whether it be a family member or even a friend or an acquaintance. What what it really, is trying to portray is that if we really try to see each other for what we are and celebrate the authentic person that we know in our immediate circle, we can really change their lives. And so that's really what the message was behind this, amongst many other things, of course. It's a privilege to be here. It's a privilege to be able to make these kinds of films and have them resonate with anybody, let alone this wonderful town and this wonderful organization. So I'm very honored to be here, and I feel very lucky, and so does Mike. And we hope that this project can continue to be presented in all sorts of capacities. It's nearing the end of its festival run, and once it's done, we want to put it on YouTube and just have it be a free program that anybody can watch, because again, that was really our intention from the very beginning. But yeah, that's kind of it in a nutshell. If anybody has any thoughts or questions, you're welcome to bring them up now. Yeah, go ahead.
Can you speak about the interaction between the sort of movie side of it and then the dance side of it, and the interaction between those two pieces and how?
Absolutely, yeah. So Mike Musallam, the director, has a very strong and wonderful musical theater background. He's directed and produced over 100 theater productions, all the way from Michigan to New York to Los Angeles. And dance has always been, a format of storytelling that was so important to him and beautiful to him. And I completely align with that as well. And so, interestingly, when we first started to develop this and think about how we were going to make it, we didn't necessarily have that dance component right at the beginning. But then he reflected on it some more, and he realized that because of its importance to him, he really wanted to try to incorporate it. And because of his wonderful experience in the field, he was able to connect with Chris Campbell, who was the choreographer of the dance portion, who is a genius in so many ways. And we were fortunate enough to be able to fly him in and work with the two eldest brothers that, as you can imagine, were also dancers. And so they collaborated on this, and the song was written first, and then from the song, they started to think about how we can emulate the story beats to mirror what was happening in the narrative. And so that was a very close and beautiful collaboration between them two. And over time, they tried different things, and then Chris, with his incredible talents, was able to do everything that we needed in order for it to just make sense. And so, as you probably noticed, there's different parts of the story that are, very, very aligned in terms of what's happening in the narrative, and then what's happening in the dance, from, the brothers looking at each other, running towards each other, hugging, and all that. We tried to really have that all play in a beautiful way that made sense to the audience. And in retrospect, I think if the dance portion was not part of it, I don't think it would have been the same product, obviously, but also I really do believe it elevated it to a whole other level. So yeah, and we've been thinking about putting portions of this adventure out there in different forms. So we'll have the film up, but then we may also cut a dance piece that is just the brothers dancing. And then we also wanted to add, and that's something that we're slowly thinking about, a separate segment where we interview family members and brothers specifically, and siblings in general, and trying to get their perspective on their experiences. Because, we're here, so we might as well just add a few things and make it more interesting. Yeah, go ahead.
connections between the actors and that scene in the living room?
Yeah, totally. There were many surreal things that came about as a result of coming together to make this. One being that, casting this was a wonderful challenge, because not only did the brothers have to look somewhat the same, as they grow up, but we also wanted the eldest to represent the culture, but also have a strong dance background. And in Los Angeles, though there's so much talent, Middle Eastern talent is limited, and so we felt very privileged to be able to put all this together. To put the cast together, and one of the joys and the joyful consequences was Victor and Martin, who are the two eldest brothers and the dancers, had such a beautiful chemistry and connection that they became really, really close friends afterwards. I follow them on Instagram, and I would continue to be just amazed at how much they were spending time together. Even posting, a story saying like, oh my God, we really do look like brothers, even though most people don't know what they're talking about because the film's not out yet. But it's so wonderful to watch, and that friendship that came, they started working together, they went to Vegas together for a performance. That was, one of the highlights of the production side, is getting to see them, bloom in this friendship. And what was a bit surreal as well is in that living room scene when the father, is infuriated and asks him to leave. While we were filming that, we filmed it in a Middle Eastern home because we wanted to have that aesthetic. And the daughter who was there to help us out, the daughter of the parents that own the house, while we were filming, mentioned that 2 weeks before she actually came out to her parents in that same living room, which really struck a chord because it almost reassured us that all of this is aligning in the way that we wanted. And she had, an emotional experience, but apparently, it went okay. And the parents were pretty open to it all and pretty accepting. What was really emotional about it all is that some of the crew actually had to step aside and couldn't contain their emotions being around the scene. Because when we're filming it, we film it with dialogue, even though you're not going to hear it. The father was really yelling, the mother was wailing, and myself and a few others had to step aside and take a moment because it felt so real that it started to bring up certain experiences from our past that, made us emotional. But it was beautiful to go through that because, it allowed us to really connect in a way that we didn't anticipate, and, that's what it was all about. So we really enjoyed those little bits of, connection and beautiful experiences that we were able to share together. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry?
So I have a two-part question.
All right, go ahead.
So what was your guys' decision-making process in telling the story through a non-traditional lens? You always kind of see the white Christian family, and then that's how it kind of goes along. And then also I was curious why you made the decision not to do dialogue.
Yeah, so Mike is a practicing Muslim and is also proud of his sexuality, and contrary to many people's beliefs, he actually lives in harmony with the two rather than in conflict, and he lives such a beautiful life and emulates so much inspiration to the people around him and just the way that he handles his day-to-day. And so, having that Middle Eastern background as well, since he's Lebanese, he felt it was very important, to try to speak to this experience that happens in our own world. Because I, by the way, am part Lebanese as well. I was born in Lebanon and I speak Arabic, and so does he. So we really connected on that level. So it came from, a a personal space in terms of our upbringing, and that's why it was really special for us to come together to do this. And you know, as part of like the overall agenda for Mike and for many of us that are part of the same team, the goal has always been to try to put out stories that aren't being told, and representation, as we know, is so important in Hollywood, and that's a conversation that's being had on a regular basis, and so we felt a responsibility to try to speak to that and to try to show people, you know, what that could look like, and regardless of your background and religious belief, and even if you are, you know, very committed to a religion, it doesn't mean that your sexuality or your sexual experience has to be hindered as a result. In terms of the no dialogue, that was always the case. He always had in mind to, rather than have a, you know, typical format of actors talking about, you know, what they're going through, especially again because of his musical theater background, he really did want to try to collaborate with someone and create a song. And in the beginning, the song was actually 3 minutes and a bit, and then with the composer Clark Baxtresser, who's also so wonderful to work with, we realized that the story made more sense if we actually, you know, put out the whole thing. And so as much as it was a song, it then became a little bit of a soundtrack. And so, you know, I think he did an incredible job in, again, you know, understanding the narrative and the beats, and composing a piece that was going to be really beautiful. So the intention was always to have it be this type of format, and then you know, the people that came together to do this were really the ones that allowed us to do it in a way that was hopefully interesting for people.
That was beautiful.
Oh, thank you. This is one of the first times that, I mean, these last 2 days that I get to see how people react to it, and as you saw, you know, from the beginning of me coming up here, I also still get a little bit emotional watching it, even though I've literally watched it like 200 times. But there is something special about it. It is something that I relate to a lot, and that's probably partly why. But to, you know, witness the reaction that people are having to it is all we would have ever wanted out of it. And so, you know, once we have the opportunity to share it on a wider level, we hope that more and more people can feel inspired by it. And again, to just, you know, reconnect with somebody that maybe they didn't understand in the past, or, you know, felt that, you know, they had to alienate them for whatever reason. That's really what our goal was with this, is to try to bring people together. As Oprah as it sounds. I love Oprah. I do love Oprah. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you very much. I'm really that we got to see this here in our that's fantastic. You're preaching to the choir tonight. This is such a friendly audience, obviously. How do you plan to get your film in front of audiences that need bringing together, please?
Yeah, we started by putting it out to as many, you know, influential festivals as possible and seeing if they're going to receive it. And overall, we've been really happy with how it's been performing. That's, you know, in a way, the first step for a lot of us as filmmakers is to see if we can present it worldwide at festivals, and that way audiences can get to see it, you know, everywhere. We've had the wonderful fortune of showing it in, I think, 12 countries so far, in Europe, in Asia, in Australia, and you know, that's more than we could have ever asked for, and we didn't really know how people were going to receive it. Particularly the LGBTQ+ communities worldwide, including the US, have been really embracing it. And in the last couple months, there's been this surge of love, and we received 4 awards in just these last 2 months. And there's more people coming coming to us wanting to present it in different capacities. So all of that is all, you know, a dream for us, and that's definitely what we wanted, is to have that, you know, have these platforms worldwide embrace it and then show it. But what we're going to do now is, once that fizzles, again, we do believe in just putting it out on YouTube and having the world access it there, because I know a lot of people go to YouTube to watch content. I know myself growing up, I would Google gay short film and hope to see something that would be, you know, inspiring and beautiful to watch. But alongside that, we definitely are putting out an agenda and efforts to collaborate with organizations all over, including, you know, the HRC, GLAD, and any organization really that wants to partner and show this film at an event or anything like that. We really do want to use the piece as a vessel, you know, for change in any way that we can. So we are literally accepting all opportunities with reason to show it. So yeah, we're going to do our best to put it, to have it reach, you know, the furthest lands that we can. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's the end of my public speaking. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'm not sure you're a